What's going on, guys? Christian here from CK Wraps. Don't forget to check out my website, ckwrapstoronto.com, to sign up to our mailing list for exclusive offers and discounts on new and upcoming products. There'll be a link in the top corner there for you. Now, I wrapped this panel the other day, and actually yesterday, and I'm gonna re-wrap this panel for you. I'm gonna remove it. I thought, hey, why not? I'll just remove it at the same time, get it all on video, because I lost my audio yesterday and it kind of sucks, but I didn't charge my batteries on my mic, so hey, whatever. It's gonna be better today. I got Soren here doing some videos, and he's gonna get those detailed shots for you. We've got this excellent lighting that he brought along with us, and yeah, it's gonna look really good, I think. So, you know, I'm kind of grateful that I didn't get the audio yesterday because it's going to turn out even better today. I'm going to do other videos on this vehicle as well, show you some of the inlays and how we're going to do it. We've got a Porsche here, and you know, we run into the similar style of a Porsche throughout the years. All right, the front fender is quite complex in its curvature because, you know, this fender actually wraps up and over into the hood area quite a bit. A lot more than other fenders. On top of that, it's round. It's not square. It's not like there's no hard edges. Makes it a little bit more complicated. Today I'm using Workaround 970RA matte night blue metallic. Beautiful color, actually. Really excited about the entire project. The other side's actually already wrapped. Really excited about this entire project, and you know, seeing it come together. Silver is just silver, a little bit boring, and you know, my client is just kind of a little bit bored of it. Anyways, we're gonna get to it. So again, I did all these corners and everything so perfectly, and everything looks great. I maybe throw a little bit of B-roll in there for you guys to see what I actually filmed yesterday as far as the corners go, but I'll show you again today on how to do them. So we're gonna add a bit of heat, and we've gotta find an edge somewhere, obviously. Now, when it comes to this gas tank right here, this gas tank doesn't remove, at least not in a way that I know. So because it does not easy to remove, I have to mask it off and wrap around it. And that means I want to leave a little extra vinyl so that I can tuck in a little bit further. So by masking off the actual outer area, and we'll kind of get to this afterwards, so by masking off the outer area, I'm able to cut on the masking tape and leave myself a little bit extra. So inside, you can see that there are no screws. There is a rivet there, and that might be the thing to take it out, but there aren't any screws holding it, this hinge here, and I don't want to really mess around with the spring-loaded door, and you know, that's just more complicated and not something that I really want to get into. Anyways, you can see how far I wrapped in yesterday. I wrapped in about 3/4 of an inch, just over half an inch probably, all the way through, which is really nice to be able to do that, and you know, the masking tape allows us to do that. So I'm going to add a bit of heat when it comes to removing this film. And we're just gonna get it up from the edges. Now, I most likely won't really need to prep the surface again unless I see that there's a little bit of glue left behind from maybe dragging the film across the edge. So I'm gonna try and actually lift it off of the edge. But this film hasn't been on for very long, so it'll come off very easily. And we don't wanna heat too much. We just wanna soften the film so that we're making it pliable. So a little bit of heat. Yep, this one's just for you guys, so I'm removing it so I can show you. I was a bit upset about losing the audio yesterday, bummed out about it, but hey, we're here today, we're gonna get it done. So this will just be another 30 seconds or so. And then I'll talk about the steps in the prep and why I have masking tape in a couple of other places. Almost there. And I've already got my piece cut. Perfect. So I see no residue anywhere at all around the edges. If you do find that there is something, then you're going to definitely want to wipe it off because it will just kind of show through the wrap, and the wrap may not adhere as well. So again, this Fender is a bit more complex in its nature. The fact that it has such a curvature running around the front and working around the gas cap and trying to get it tucked in there a little bit further. Now what I've also done is masked off the pillar, and I've masked off just a tiny few inches on the hood so that I can cut on the hood and be able to leave myself a little bit of a tab so that I can actually do the corner really nicely. That's about it. Otherwise, we're ready to rock. So this is a matte metallic, and this is going to be a directional film. It may not be listed as a directional film from the manufacturer, but I'm going to say that it's a directional film. I don't take the risk when I do matte metallics or any kind of metallic finishes, because when you turn them 90 degrees or so, we can end up with discrepancy in it matching, like from the fender to the door to the rear quarter to the side skirt, so on and so on. So keep it all running the same way. We do have the option with this to run it the other way if we wanted to, but because this fender is less than 60 inches long, we could actually turn it and cut it into the height of the roll, since the roll is 60 inches. But we don't want to do that. So I've cut this piece off as extra, and lengthwise into the roll, we can see that our markings run vertical. This means that when we unroll the roll, all these markings run vertical, so I've cut it lengthwise. So we're going to place it down, and I'm going to line it up, and we got to have a couple of magnets handy. Also, what you're going to want to do normally is you're going to want to prep your surface with isopropyl alcohol, 70%. Make sure you've wiped down any contaminants, and that the surface is wrap friendly for the most part. Cool. Next thing we need to do here is we need to trim off some excess vinyl. If we don't trim off excess vinyl, we just run into added resistance. Added resistance means that we're just fighting vinyl that we don't need to be fighting, which is really silly. Why would we want to do that, right? So again, we're going to find a spot somewhere around here. I've got a third magnet. I should have 3 actually. You should always have 3 so that your film doesn't pivot. And then we're just going to cut out this excess. There's that reflector light area right there. I'm going to come in slightly below that, and then I'm going to have a peak right underneath and stay below. Cool. So as it sits right now, we've got, keep your scraps, you never know, you need them for door handles or whatever. As it sits right now, yes, we've got a bunch of excess film in this area right here. That's going to happen, especially with the compound curve of this fender running in 3 different directions. Again, it's running this way, it's running this way, and it's running this way. We want to start on our flattest area. That would be right here. As you can see, super flat. The vinyl sits very pretty, and we don't have to do very much as far as, glassing it out goes. We're going to keep it flat, of course, but we don't have to do a lot of stretching or pulling. It's just going to sit very naturally. So we want to keep the film, the release liner rolling. That's important because we don't want to crease, or we don't want to put any unnecessary creases in the film that we have to later heat out. All right, so somewhere around here, we're going to tack it down. This film has been actually a pleasure to use. It's very, very nice. It's not extremely sticky or anything like that. It's been very, very nice. So it's almost like a pressure sensitive film. So I'm just going to anchor that down right there. We're going to remove that. We're going to put that right there. And then we're going to remove off the rest of our release liner. So what's next is we've got to fix that up. Pull back to the problem area. And look, I can just almost gently just put this down, and it'll go down pretty nicely. We add a little bit of tension, and it'll go down even better. See? And I'll explain this in a little bit more detail in a second. So all I'm doing is setting myself up right now for the big stretch, basically. This is the initial stretch, and it's kind of like a pre-stretch to set myself up. And then we're going to go for the bigger stretch. So I'm gonna anchor that guy there. We're gonna come in around the bottom right here and just get this all smoothed out. And look, I don't really have to do anything here. It's just hanging. We can just work that down. Any really hard wrinkles, we can usually just kind of push out with our finger. If the squeegee isn't applying enough pressure. Sometimes the squeegees, when they're a little bit softer, they don't kind of give you the amount of pressure that you need, so you'll see me use my finger often to push out wrinkles. Now, here is where we got to do some heavy stretching. Heavy meaning like this is going to be the most stretching for this whole panel. We can see that I've got some wrinkles around the actual gas tank. Let's try and get those out. So we've gotten the wrinkles out of the gas tank area, and I'm going to pull it back to about that spot. And this is where we're going to add some heat. So I want to get rid of this guy right here. Let's balance it all out. Have a nice starting point right about there. And I don't want to heat when I heat directly at that spot. That's a bad idea. What that will do is it will cause discoloration, most likely cause discoloration. So I'm going to hold this out. We're just going to soften the area around it, and heat will travel through the film and actually make it to that area. So don't even worry about actually heating that spot right there. But if we heat directly on that spot, again, we're going to cause most likely a discrepancy in stretching this. Mattes and matte metallics can be more challenging to install because if you overstretch them, they can show color variations and color discrepancies. I'm running a workshop today, and they're learning that. They're learning that the hard way, but that's the way to learn. If you're learning the easy way, you're not learning. All right, so we're about good there. I want to take my film, and I want to keep it glassed out. This just folded over because I'm holding the wrong piece. There we go. So again, now I'm going to heat that. As I'm holding this section up here, I should have cut it off. That's what's giving me the problem, just to show you. So I'm going to bring my hand in a little bit closer. This way I can pull more along this line right here. I was pulling along this, which didn't have anything behind it. So I had no control. So just to get those wrinkles back out again, I want to let the film reset. And that means just warm it up, get all those creases out. Don't pull it. Now again, it doesn't take a lot of heat to soften this film. It stretches very, very nicely. And again, now we're going to go for it. We're going to contour this right around the panel. Okay, so get it flat as possible, and we only put it down when it's flat. We've got to be looking for the largest, widest area to be placing the film down on, because that is like, this is our contact point right in this spot right here. It's about halfway between here and halfway between here. If we don't have a middle point, it makes it very difficult to wrap equally the top and the bottom section. So starting somewhere around the middle just makes the most sense. It's going to be a lot easier for in your life when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. Okay, so now you can see that we have a natural hug to the actual panel. If I let go, it wants to curl in. So now what happens if I just take this back a bit and I heat the film, it's going to want to shrink and go underneath. Boom. So this line means it's pulling across the edge. Exactly what you want. Just get that one air bubble out. There we go. One more. All right, there we go. And you want it to pull across that edge because we're not pulling against the edge. It's much more difficult for the vinyl to pull across the edge and then lift up over top. It's actually almost impossible. It's almost like it can't even happen. Than it is for, obviously, if you take the film and stretch it down to the edge. That's a big no-no. So again, what I'm going to do right here is bring it across a little bit more because I have a lot of slack in this area, and I don't want to heat it a lot, just enough to give myself some pliability. And we take it and we swing it around. Right? If I let go, you see my wrinkles are running across the edge more than they're running down. So all I got to do is sort of lock that in. And as soon as I get it down to the edge, we add a bit of heat. or even before that, it's fine. I can add it right around now. And it's gonna start shrinking itself back down. Just like that. We wanna control it when we heat it and shrink it down. When we heat it and shrink it down, it's important that we keep the film flat. Keeping the film flat means we're controlling it. So when I have too much vinyl, which I do, I have a ton on the bottom, ton in here, that becomes sort of an issue. It's not a big deal. You can trim it away, or you just kind of work with it. But again, having too much vinyl can be inhibiting. So I'm gonna work these wrinkles out from the top. I lift quickly so that I don't end up stretching the film. If I stretch the film, if I take my time and I stretch the film very slowly, we begin to stretch the film, as I just said like 3 times. So if I lift quickly, the film doesn't want to stretch. And then now we take our heat gun and we add a little bit more heat and we gently place this down. Well, I'm not really pulling on it, I'm just keeping a slight bit of tension. This way, I don't have to worry about stretching it, and it is shrinking itself to the panel. Most important thing. You want to be able to basically shrink wrap every part of the vehicle. If you're not shrink wrapping every part of the vehicle, there's room for failure. And I'm just going to cut out the headlight area in a nice little circle, semicircle. So I've cut out the area. This divides this area and this area into 2 different parts. Okay, so I've got some wrinkles in the film. I'm just going to heat the film, relax it, make sure I can get rid of the wrinkles in the film. I'm not going to stretch it. I'm not going to do anything. I don't want to do anything with it. Not until I'm ready. So I've got some wrinkles there still. I want to heat it a little bit more. Yeah, and you can see I'm not adding a lot of heat, right? So I'm just going to keep it, and I'm only pulling the film until it's wrinkle free. I'm not pulling it more than that. Now with the hood in the way, it makes it a bit difficult because the hood is actually going to get in my way sort of down here. I could pop it, but that means I'm going to run into probably an issue at the top. So again, it's one of those things. We'll just use our hand to kind of get it to pull through. All right, so the hood's in the way, but that's fine. We're just going to run our palm right through it. And I'm just going to pull slightly when it's a little bit more cold. So here we're getting down to the corner. I've got my masking tape on the hood. This means I can cut on the hood and do my corner down here afterwards. So all in here, we might as well do all this. And I'll show you how this is done. And I'm going to trim out from the back of the hood all the way to the front. And I'm going to end right there where you're looking. So I run the back of my blade, obviously, on the back side of the hood. Gives me a little bit more to leave around. This way I don't have to worry about coming short. As far as film goes, you do not cut on the fender side, we always cut on the opposite side. All right, so I've got my tab there. I'm gonna come in around here, get all this situated, and then I'm gonna come over to that corner afterwards. Let's do this corner right now. And what this requires is for me to cut off a whole bunch of this. So we're gonna go tab, right? Always leave yourself that sort of tab to play around with. When we're stretching around the corner, we need to be pulling in 3 directions, okay? 3-dimensional stretch. You can do this cold, or you can do it with a bit of heat. I recommend if you can do it cold, but we need to know where the corner lands, okay? Where we're gonna land on the corner, basically. So as I come in, I might start in a little further, knowing that I'm gonna stretch a 1/4 inch and land on the corner, which is what I did. So if I pull outwards at the same time, this causes the film to pull in this way and in this way. And if we can get the film more or less around the back side of the corner when we add heat, what's gonna happen? It's gonna shrink, it's gonna go whoosh, right around the corner. The only way we know that's gonna do that is to check it with heat. And we're gonna do that when it's free floating and not touching anything, because if it is, then we're not gonna be able to tell. So you can see that I'm using my gold squeegee. This is my hard edge squeegee to ensure that I'm around the other side of the corner, and then I'm gonna make sure that I'm not stuck to the opposite panel. You can put a little tape there if you want to, I didn't need to, and we add a little heat. Boom. That thing is perfect. So this means we just gonna go around the rest. You'll notice that I get wrinkles sometimes when I'm not using my glove because my finger will drag on the film. All right, always keeping the film elevated, especially when we're coming around those corners, and make sure it's not touching anything. Very important. Let's get that last wrinkle out right there. Cool. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna trim this area, back side of the blade on the inside of the fender, and then in order to not cut into the paint, I'm just gonna lift the film slightly, cut along that edge. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight because this is gonna get completely covered. Not the end of the world, still pretty straight. All right, we're gonna come around. The key here to doing a nice corner is to not leave too much film. If we leave too much vinyl, it ends up bunching up, and then that is what makes your corner look horrendous, usually. Unless you just didn't wrap the corner at all nicely to begin with. That could be another factor. So I'll separate these two pieces. Let's see if I've got it off. There we go. Got a little excess film on the bottom there, but that's fine. It's on the bottom. It's not actually right on the edge of the corner. On the back side of the corner is what we're more or less concerned about. So I'll heat it up again. Just make sure everything's tight and solid. If you're concerned at all about your corner, you can get in there and you can give it a little, a little cooking. I'm not a very good cook, but I can do this. All right. What we're gonna do now is open the hood up, and we'll do that front corner while you're in that position. I want to make sure that nothing is sticking to the hood. Again, my masking tape's there. We're good. Where's the latch? There it is. Perfect. I'll just stick my magnet right there for now. Now here's another corner for you. Again, I have my lovely, beautiful tab. This one isn't too hard to do. As you can see, I'm not even stretching it, and I'm kind of already around it. So we're just gonna stretch it out a bit, nothing crazy, and then make sure we land around the corner. That's the key. Again, we're under the edge. You can see, I'm pretty much right underneath. And before I do anything else, I'm gonna make sure all the rest of this is underneath. And then we can just get in there, kiss it with a bit of heat, and finish off the corner. Now in this situation, there isn't anything for the actual film to adhere to, so there's not gonna be any resistance, so it'll just do its thing. Perfect, I'm happy with that. Again, we're leaving, you can see there's nothing on, once I trim off on the bottom side of the corner, there's gonna be nothing there. These European cars are a little bit more tricky when it comes to doing corners because they're typically a little bit thicker and deeper into the car. When you run into like Japanese cars, like Hondas actually have the most paper thin front fenders I've ever seen in my life. You get what you pay for kind of thing. The quality of the metal isn't even comparable. So these guys run into, the BMW, Mercedes, Porsche. Obviously, they're gonna put better quality parts in their vehicles, in that meaning even the panels itself. Much stronger, much more durable, a lot thicker. But yeah, I mean, The Honda Civic front fender is like as thin as the vinyl. It's insane. So doing a corner on that car is super easy. So again, we're just gonna get in there, kiss it from the bottom, get in there, get some heat on that, and as soon as we do, we're rocking. We don't wanna come around on the top because we might burn the film, and that'll cause it to be shiny or something that just won't really look right. So again, I'm gonna work the rest of the film around. Back of the blade, free as a bird, done. Get in there, give that a little heat afterwards, and you seal up the edges. I'll do that all at the end. Now, we're gonna move back. All right, so we're gonna finish off all the wheel well. What I like to do when I do the wheel well is I usually do that last. I trim off the bottom, I trim off the fender where it meets the bumper, I'll do the door, and I'll do the top, and then I'll do the wheel well. I'll explain why I do the wheel well like that afterwards. There's a reason, but we're gonna get into the rest first. Now, before I cut here, I wanna make sure that everything's nice and straight. So we go over it with a bit of heat. Make sure we're gonna have a nice straight line. I might as well get rid of my magnet, don't need it anymore. The top corner over here is very easy. It's very wide angle, so I'm not even gonna bother showing you that one because it's so easy. Like you can just massage the film around the corner. That's how easy it is. Let's do it around here slightly. Okay, that's fine. And then we're gonna do some cutting. Let's just check out here, should be good. Yeah, we're still good. See how the vinyl is actually pulling itself into this area? It's amazing, it's exactly what we want. So when it comes to doing this, it's a bit more floaty. We're floating our wrist a little bit. And we've got to try and cut it as straight as possible, just a way to keep it nice. The reason why we're floating is because I have a huge gap there. I don't really have a good line to follow. So then I'm going to come up, in, above the bumper. Let's just make sure that we're above it. So I'll poke a hole and I'll come back out the other way. There we go. Come down a bit. And then I'm going to run my blade on the back side of the bumper and finish off the rest of this. Now I'm going to tuck all that in. Let's move toward the bottom over here. Again, I'm going to start in a little bit and work my way out. And when I get to the corner, try and get out of your light. When I get to the corner, what I like to do is I like to come around the corner because the corner is round. That's a kind of a tricky corner to get to. So it helps to actually cut it round. This way we don't have too much excess film kicking around. In the end, I would actually rather show a little bit of paint than have a bottle cap looking corner. That's just my preference. So again, now we'll come back down here and we'll come out and then down slightly, okay? The reason why we come down slightly is that way when we push this vinyl in, it might actually come up a bit. We'll get rid of this. So now I can explain why I do the wheel well when I do it right now. And that's because I've gotten rid of this area right here and I've gotten rid of this area over here, so I don't have any extra film to tuck in over here. I can just focus solely in the wheel well area. Now I've got a ton of film here, don't need it all. That means we're just going to cut it back ever so slightly. Now how far in do I go? Well, I'm going to show you right afterwards. So we're going to work the film around. I'm going to pull it down, I'm going to pull it through slightly here and just add a little pressure or tension with my right hand. There we go. And then we just work the film around a little bit more. Again, same thing with this corner. I'm going to pull it through slightly. I'm not excessively pulling the film, not excessively stretching the film, just pulling it through to keep tension on it because it's an end and it doesn't want to sit as nicely as it does in the middle here. So I can feel the top, I can feel the edge. I can feel the inside edge, which means we made it. We made it to where we need to be. I feel no wrinkles, and that's it. When I cut, back of the, I'm gonna look, okay, back of the blade on the inner edge. It's gonna be a hard one for you to see, but we just take our time. Now you're gonna run into hitting, obviously, the splash guard, which is in there. It's just plastic, so don't worry about it. It's not like we're gonna cut into the paint or anything like that, but we do wanna make sure we position ourselves nicely so that way we can cut really well. I'm in a bad position right now. I'm just trying to stay out of the way for the camera angle, but I've done this many times. So a lot of it is feeling as well. And I'm gonna look again as I get closer to the bottom, making sure that I'm still good. We're good. Get rid of that. Come back out the other way. And again, I should be standing more behind my blade. I'm not. Cutting out is not a good idea like this because you lose a bit of control. But again, I can do it. Now, when we're done that, we go over it with heat. Seal it all up. And I go fairly close. We're gonna go over the bottom edge here, get all that. And then we're gonna pop our door open and finish off that top corner and bottom corner down here. So I'm gonna lift this up off the top pillar. I'll finish off the bottom corner first. Right there, while your camera's down there. And then, so I'm gonna heat it, and then just sort of massage that film right around that area. That's why it helps to have cut like a rounded circle around that area, because we're not gonna have so much excess film. If we cut a box around this bottom corner, what's gonna happen? The box is gonna wanna bunch up, right? Just makes sense. It's not gonna go, what else is it gonna do? Because we don't have access to it, the door's in the way. So one of the better ways to do it is just cut it in a circle already. Now we're gonna come up to the top. So we're gonna do up here. And maybe Soren can bring the camera in a little bit for this one. It's a good one to see. So I'm gonna cut here, do some relief cut, just get it out of the way. I don't need all this excess material anymore, it's done. I've wrapped to the edge. And then as soon as I get sort of around here, I'm gonna come up and out. Okay, I've got my tab. Let's make it a little bit shorter. See where my corner is? Right there. I've got my tab. We're gonna come back just a bit. This gives us better position when it comes to getting a little bit closer and landing on the corner. So again, we don't need a lot of heat, but we do want to pull through and pull out. So I'm expanding with my thumbs, and I'm going to figure out where I'm going to land. It is a tight squeeze. Maybe I got to use my index here. And we want to get it around that corner. If we don't get it around that corner, when we heat, it's not going to do what it needs to do, which is shrink around the corner. So I'm going to start tucking it in while it's cold. Another important thing to do. And just get it around that corner while it's cold. And once we're done all this, Soren can get in there and show you what all this looks like on all these corners. So again, we have no resistance, right? My piece is floating, it's not touching anything. As soon as I add heat, we're gonna see if it's gonna move. Done. That's good, that's amazing, I'm really happy with that. I think it's even a little bit better today than it was yesterday. So we'll finish off the rest, get it all tucked in. And then I'm going to trim out my excess film. Perfect. So what do? Bottom side of the corner, okay? Always important because we don't want to leave that excess there. And I'll trim out any other excess along the way. just to balance it all out. Now I'm going to start bringing this piece up and around, keep it anchored, so this way it keeps it tight, and we don't have to worry about it being a choppy cut. And just take your time, it's no rush. Get rid of this. There we go. Now I'm going to go over it one more time with heat. Excellent. So now we can move the camera back and actually check out how I'm going to do the gas cap area, and then we're done. So for the gas cap area, what I'm going to do is leave about the same as what I left last time, 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. Gently run my blade across the surface of the tape as straight as possible. Position my body in the best way possible. Anchoring your hand is important. This way you can get a nice round and even cut. So you're going to see what it's like for me to lift this off right now. It's a little tricky, it's not terrible though. Okay, so let's get rid of the inner piece. Be careful when you're removing it, just in case you didn't score the film enough. Get that out of the way. Now, one of my favorite tools in the world is this. Rapstick Flex, and you're going to see it actually lifts this all off. Super nice. Love this thing. And we're going to use this to actually start opening up the gas tank. Gas tank cover, lid, whatever you want to call it. So I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the gas tank just to start getting it rounded off and start getting this pulled up and around the edge of the gas tank without using my fingers. If you don't have something like this, you can try to use your squeegee. It's a little bit more tricky. So having these detailed tools is very handy for situations like this. If you need to use your hands, yes, just make sure your fingers aren't very greasy or dirty or anything like that. It can be done as well though. And again, it's not a race. We're just gonna take our time here. Now I left an excessive amount because I like to. Better more too much than too little. If we have too much, we can always trim away. So I'm gonna actually use my finger a little bit here. My hands are dry as a bone anyways, so it doesn't really matter. And I didn't have any KFC today, that's tomorrow. Take our time, we're almost there. Keeping that tension on the tank itself. Should be coming any second now. It's just right here, I think. Okay, I'm getting there. I don't want to fold the film. There we go. Okay, so here and here is going to be the tighter area right now. Nope, that's fine. I'm going to work all this first. So you can see there's a little rubber grommet thing there. No big deal. I can work the film right up to that little thing, and then we can do the little relief cuts around it. I've already done this yesterday, as you guys missed that video, but this is the same video all over again. So I'm going to start doing all this. We can add a little heat and it tightens itself up. It's just these little extras that I like to do that make the job a little bit more thorough. Again, I could have just cut on the edge of the gas tank and called it a day, wrapped in the 1/8 of an inch that it might have been, but I didn't want to do that. So now what we can do is we can come back over here and we can start working a bit of that in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have the bottom and the top follow. So we're going to need to push the film through in this area right here. It's a little tricky, but I've done it yesterday, so I know it can be done. So it's just a matter of swiveling the tank around a little bit, and we're through. Let's get the top. Awesome. Cool. Use my finger for the rest. We'll add a touch of heat. Finish up that. You don't want to heat too much, obviously, with this being the gas area. You know, obviously there's liability. We do not need to get in here and post heat this to 250 degrees. Do not do that. I will highly advise you not to do that. So just wafting the heat around it will be enough. This is not a high tension area. So this little bit right here where I have the film sticking up, I'm just gonna do a little relief cut right along the edge right there. That's gonna allow that piece to fold in really nicely. And then the same deal on the opposite side, right about here. Done, and done. And we're looking mighty fine. That's that. So as we close it, we've got tons wrapped in there, more than enough. You gotta stop it somewhere. But again, I went in pretty much to the end of the weld, which is pretty cool actually. It's like right at the very edge. That was a good guess. And that is pretty much that. Wrapping the gas cap, very simple procedure. And that's that as far as wrapping this fender goes. Going around the gas cap area takes a little bit more time. Doing all the corners, and Soren's gonna give you a zoom in of all those, and he's gonna show you in the wheel well right here. This way you can actually see what this looks like up close and personal, and you know, how the corners and everything turned out. That's it, guys. If you enjoy the video, give it a like. Just kind of cut that part out. Soren, you wanna show them the corners? And that's it, guys. If you like the video, don't forget to give it a like. And if you guys want to see more videos, don't forget the subscribe button. Again, thank you for watching. Most of the products that I'm using today in the description below. That's it. Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye.
you have anything with CK wraps on it?
What's that?
Do you have any like decals with CK wraps? Oh, that thing's perfect. So when you edit this video, and so I guess this B-roll is gonna be before your outro, right? So put it right before your outro.
Yeah.
But end it with this thing.
Okay. That looks like shit back there though. I can just end it with my actual logo. No?
Yeah.
I feel like that thing's so ghetto right now, it's just temporary, it's like off the wall.
I didn't get any, yeah, whatever.